Today on SWF Beach Life. Oh, here's another creature. Actually, here's a whole bunch of creatures. And good thing, look at how pretty that is. But I do think that some of the little snails were traumatized thing. Oh, I found it. Oh, it looks like a little booger. Hey, buddy. Yeah, give me a little high five or high nine. This is my mini collection of seashells. Hello, beach friends. We are going to spend a very fun half hour here on Fort Myers Beach, seeing what all kind of seashells, sea critters, and fun things are out here for us to discover. Now, low tide was at about 7:30. Yep, about 7:25. Currently, it is about 7 o'clock in the morning or so. I do like to shell at low tide, so I get here preferably before the tide goes out, and then I like to shell as the tide comes in. Now, where I'm standing right now typically would be covered with water, but since it's not, it does kind of strand some critters and creatures, and we can kind of get a better look. Now, this is a 9-armed sea star. I think they are fabulous. They have these really long, like little tubular feet they use to kind of move around. We will see that in a little while. Oh, here's another one. And there's another one. Okay, I am starting to see there is a pattern emerging. Sorry, I kind of unceremoniously flopped that sea star down. And these are a little bit smaller than the ones I normally see. That is a little bruised NASA with a hermit crab in it. Okay, off to, immediately get here critters right away. Great sign. Here's another couple of critters. A bruised NASA attached to the operculum of a banded tulip. All right, so we're going to leave the critters here. So all the living stuff stays at the beach. Only the empty shells we collect. There is another one of those sea stars. And again, not surprising because it's low tide. What is surprising is that there's so many of them. I've been to this beach many times, and I've never seen this happen. So it's, for me, it's always really exciting. Lightning walk. Yeah, it's broken. It's exciting when I get to experience something different. So there are tons of these sea stars. So we will have a couple of interactions with them, but there's plenty of other stuff here. Yep. So if you're ready to see what all is here on Fort Myers Beach for us today, let's go to the beach. Okay, Fort Myers Beach, we have an apple murex, yep, complete with a little hermit crab. So this is like a giant touch tank. There's just so many. Okay, a couple more of those sea stars. Yep, yep. Now, this fantastic anemone, this is called a gray warty anemone. Little thing, little tiny thing. I see a little bubble there. Kind of cool, right? I don't know why they call it gray. Well, this one's more gray. I mean, I can see why they call that one gray. But a gray warty anemone, not a very attractive name. And a couple more sea stars. Okay. What a beautiful morning to be down here. Oh, here's another creature. Actually, here's a whole bunch of creatures. So here's a sand dollar. A living sand dollar, and I don't know why it has attracted so many of those bruised NASAs. So the sand dollar looks fine. I don't know. They're just trying to hang out and have a little party. I don't know. But living sand dollar, a couple of bruised NASAs, more of those 9-armed sea stars. I've never seen so many. Weird. And they're not like the big ones. Normally, hey buddy, yeah, give me a little high five or high nine. But normally they're like, I see the adults. These are more like juveniles, are much smaller than the ones I normally see. Right? Shell, probably a crab. Yep. And look at all those bruised NASAs. So those are all little critters. They're little vultures of the sea. Actually, there's lots of vultures of the sea. I mean, nothing really goes to waste here, which is good. The kings and queens of recycling are already here at the beach. Okay, banded tulip, but yeah, right there, you can just see the tips. Yeah, you got to be really careful. And look, watch. Yeah, the little critter, it goes even deeper in the shell. So it's a good idea. If you're not really sure, leave it. And you can always check your shells again as you leave the beach. Wow, there's so many of those sea stars. All right, here's another banded tulip with a critter. Yeah. Sorry, I can very quickly assess whether or not, and sometimes I forget to kind of show you all. Sorry about that. That is a critter in there. I mean, theoretically, I'm interested in keeping the seashells. So is it keepable or not? And then I kind of just keep it moving. Oh, it is. So I love that pastel colors. It's so pretty. I don't know that, the camera can really even capture it. Just gorgeous. So 7-Eleven tide is still going out, but only for like another 20 minutes or so. And then it's going to start coming in. And this is kind of the way I timed it. This was kind of the way I wanted. Look at how beautiful that Sunray Venus clam is. Oh, you are extra beamy. Beautiful. Yeah, definitely gonna. I like those anyway, but that happens to be a particularly lovely one. All right, here's a little sand dollar. This one is okay to keep. So this one is unalive. Yeah, but it's missing a little piece of the top. Yep, and I can be that bratty. So I'll just leave that for someone else to find. I'm sure somebody else will appreciate that little sand dollar. Oh, look at this. So this is a creature that's a living lightning whelk. Yep. Yep. The mamas get big. They need the energy to create the eggs. I don't know if that's going to be. I would assume that's a female. Oh, it's gorgeous. Oh, another sea star. Okay. Keep it moving. Now check out this one. Now, so to me, it looks big because it's so light. But what I actually think is going on here, I think that is an albino lightning whelk. I know it looks like there's like a little bit of color. I think it's just periostracum. Yep. See how white that tip is? I think we're looking at an albino lightning whelk. Yeah. And look, it's not that big. So that's what I think. Obviously, I'm never really going to know because we are going to leave that living, gorgeous creature at the beach. That's how we roll. Okay, what else? Wow, it was like an invasion. I really had never seen so many of the sea stars. Again, like maybe I would see 3, and that would be pretty cool. This was hundreds. They're kind of stranded. The tide went out. I mean, again, if there was 3, I'd plop them back in the water, but I was not going to spend my entire morning putting all the sea stars back in the water. Because frankly, at the end of the day, I think they're going to be fine. I think the tide's going to come back in and they're going to be A-okay. They are kind of used to being in and out of the water. They do live in, near the beach and all. Gorgeous lightning whelk. Yay! A keeper of a shell. Yay! And okay, good. Oh, I did not want to miss that moon snail. And good thing. Look at how pretty that is. Yeah, those nice rich colors. So there's a little lightning whelk and a shark eye moon snail. Here's another shark eye moon snail. It's confusing. They're all moon snails, but this particular variety of moon snail is called a shark eye. And it's a little chewed up on the aperture. It's a full shark eye. All right, that's kind of cool. A Florida cone. Okay, this is a typical Florida cone. They are very active. They're little party animals, and they got the scars to prove it. All right. Cinchira hunteria, or a banded tulip, but it is missing a piece. This looks kind of promising, right? Here is a crown conch. Very nice. Some of them can be kind of like a blonde, right? That's nice. crown conch. Yeah, I know. That fighting conch is looking pretty promising too. I like it if it's kind of got good knobs on it. Looks good to me. And a pear whelk. Oh, that's real pretty. Perfect. All right, fantastic. So these are the kind of days I love. Couple of good seashells, couple of critters. And that's one of the reasons I really like Fort Myers Beach. Here we have an egret. You know, just by being here, I don't necessarily study birds, but I've managed to learn a little bit just by seeing them all the time. So that's a little snowy egret. And this is a banded tulip. Yep, that is exactly what that is. And that is going to stay here for someone else. Yes. Yep. All right, what else we got? Oh, all right, here's a nutmeg. Oh, that's terrific. Little sandy shell. And there's a sandy lightning whelk. Anybody else? Before we go to the water and rinse everybody off. So that's a broken nutmeg. You can tell that. Yeah, it's kind of missing a little chunk there. Scanning, scanning. Okay, here's an apple murex. All right, great. Let's go wash those off. Or let's see if there's something else on our way down to the water. Nope. All right. All right, that apple, yeah, it's okay. The color's not great. It's kind of monochromatic, but on a day like today it's fantastic. Very nice. There's some beach stuff in that lightning whelk, but that nutmeg, that is gorgeous. Lovely. So little lightning whelk and little nutmeg. This is a Gulf oyster drill. Now notice that brown band, that line like below the knobs. That is how I personally am able to identify that as a Gulf oyster drill. And there are tons and tons of sea stars. Now what I noticed here is because they're in the water, they look a little more relaxed. They're not all like, all kind of like misshapen. So again, once the tide comes in, I think they'll be okay. This is an angel wing. Another lovely shell to add to the couple of shells we're finding today. Now, at least you don't have to worry about the hermit crabs with the bivalves, right? But when you're looking at gastropods, so, yep, it's going to be a hermit crab. That's a fighting conch. That's a fighting conch. That is also a broken fighting conch. Still does okay. That's a horse conch and a fighting conch. And they are all completely occupied. Nope. Or they're just like sleeping. Wouldn't that be kind of nice? What is going on here? Oh, sorry. All right, they were definitely sleeping. Disturbed them. Sorry. See, on these tide pools, it's mostly critters and crabs. Crab. The little lace murex. Oh, I see a sharp rib drill there. All right, what do we got? Critter or crab? I couldn't see right. Crab. Yep, that's going to have to stay here. Okay. Even the little ones. I actually was out with a family that was finding lentil traps that had hermit crabs in them. You want to talk about heartbreaking. Oh, and the little itty bitties. Now, there is a difference between tiny shells. So these are just tinies. That's going to be a dwarf olive. And there's lots of dwarf olives here. I tend to find them when I'm looking for lentil traps. So grab a couple of those. But we are going to talk about micro shells at the very end of the video. Now, this sea star is a little bit bigger, a little bit more the size that I would expect to see them. And what I found interesting is the poor bruised nasas that were kind of in the way. Yeah, they're rolling, rolling, rolling. So that's how they run. They just kind of roll. So their little foot comes out and they, yep. So now what's interesting with the sea stars, now the 9-armed sea star eats its prey whole. So in theory, if it was going to eat these bruised nasas, they would be kind of in trouble. But the other type of sea stars, like the short spine sea star, they will grab onto like the clam or something, and using their muscles, they will just pull and pull and pull and pull until the clam gives up. Then it sticks its stomach into the shell and eats the critter. Now, these guys, the 9-armed sea stars, they roll a little differently. Like I said, they kind of just eat their stuff, their prey whole. Look, I think everybody who is rolling around is ultimately okay. Nothing is going to get eaten, at least by this little shot that I'm shooting. But I do think that some when the little snails were traumatized because you can still see them there, but they're not rolling. So yeah, there might be a little bit of trauma. Make an appointment with your therapist. It'll be okay. So that is a 9-armed sea star, or at least one of many, many, more tinies. No Wenzel traps though. So, all right, there's a 9-armed sea star. And so that sea star is a type that would kind of grab onto a clam. Now, interesting here, I think it grabbed on to a couple of those bruised nasses. I wonder if they were sleeping, hard to say. So that type of sea star would grab onto the clam, pull it apart, and then stick its stomach into the shells. So that's how they roll. Yep. Sea stars are pretty cool, and they're related to urchins and sand dollars. They're echinoderms. It blows my mind. Oh, look at that. Speaking of echinoderms. So yeah, that's like a flat urchin, a 5-hole keyhole sand dollar. We have a little bit different sand dollars. There are different types of sand dollars. The ones we prevalently have are that 5-hole keyhole sand dollar. Now, see that building up on the left there? It's just kind of poking out a little bit. And notice how much sand there is. Now, this is the same building. So this is many months ago, but this is that same exact building. No sand. Here, lots of sand. So what I'm walking on is been renourished. This is all new sand. It was not here for quite a while, and now it's here. The tide is coming in, but it was so low that we're going to be fine. Temperature is great. And this area used to be just amazing, but hurricane came, messed up the beach real bad. They put a bunch of sand here, and so now it's just very different. This gorgeous turkey wing. Oh, that's just a wonderful little find. So that's an arc. No, don't have to worry about the no hermit crabs. And so this grit has a completely new meaning for me. So this might grow shells. And again, we are going to talk about that at the very end of the video. All right, there was one sea star super duper far. Yeah, I figured I would help a critter out. There you go. There you go, little sea star. Oh, and a gaudy nautica. So this is also a moon snail. We call that a colorful moon snail. Or a gaudy nautica. Nautica. Pretty. I call it pretty. Now, I have a lot of time to think when I'm out here. And today it occurred to me that this beach has been my favorite beach and sort of my home base for shelling. And it kind of made me think about how familiarity can feel safe, but that same comfort can quietly keep us from noticing when things have changed. Now, since all that new sand has been put down, a lot of the pockets that once held great shells are now buried and gone. Sometimes we stay simply because it's familiar, and before we know it, we've been living the same week over and over again. Now, I'm very intentional each time I go to the beach, and I try to pick beaches that will give us the best goodies, but to me, it's interesting that safe and stuck feel like two sides of the same coin. Now, speaking of coins, here we have a little bit of mermaid money, another little sand dollar. This one, I am not going to keep that. Nah, we're going to save that for somebody else. I am sure someone would love that little sand dollar. We'll leave that one there and just see what else this beach might have in store for me. So, like I said, this area used to be really, really amazing. And it's just different. It's going to take time. Hopefully, it will come back to the previous glory that it was. But right now, I am not seeing much of anything. There's just a lot of seaweed. So I'm just going to turn around. And I'm going to go back from whence I came and hope that perhaps there'll be a thing or two to interest us. Now, this is kind of cool. I should have known. So I know it's something. Oh, I found it. Oh, it looks like a little booger. Okay, let's go rinse this booger off and let's go see what we got here. So as I was thinking about it, it's been like a couple of years. And so that's why it wasn't immediately apparent to me what was going on here. Okay, that's a baby ear. So it's a moon snail also, and it wraps its body around its shell. And so that's what's going on here. And I was going to put it back. I'm like, wait a minute. Why don't I leave it a little bit closer to the water? Now, come on. So, yep. So that's a little baby's ear. And in case you wanted to see what a baby's ear looks like, this is what the shell actually looks like. So that is what's kind of wrapped in the goo. So the animal is just completely kind of covering its shell. And we're going to put you back. It was under the sand. I don't like to bury it. Just like tuck it in. Oh, cool. All right, little baby's ear. That was fun. Oh, so we can look for some tiny shells. So that is a little moon snail. Now there's a difference between the small shells and then the micro shells. That little moon snail I picked up, it can get quite big. That little bruised nassa, it's not going to get too much bigger than that. That's going to stay about that size. So there's some shells that are just naturally quite small, and then there's shells that are like insanely small. That's a coquina. Let's see, what other shells are in? Oh, look at that. That is a little lightning whelk. So it's like twice the size of the little snail that comes out of the egg casing. I mean, that is tiny. What else we got? Scanning. What is it? All right, a little murex. I don't know what kind. It could be pitted or it could be an apple. I can't quite tell. So those are tiny shells. Again, not to be confused with micro shells. Here's a little banded tulip. Very, very cute. So tiny shells you can find on the beach. Micro shells, you got to bring them home and look under a microscope. So that is a spotted slipper snail. Gastropod, but don't need to worry about the hermit crabs. So, the only gastropod, a limpet. A limpet you probably wouldn't need to worry either. Here's a sand dollar. Keeper? Almost. So close. And again, it's because I'm a brat and I live here. You know what, though? I'm going to leave that there for them. So I bet you they're going to find it. Let's see. Aww. So they may not know if it's alive or not. They got it. And I hope they find some other cool stuff too. Aw, I love that. Now, if people ask me questions, I am more than willing to stand there and tell them anything that I know, but I try not to be intrusive. I'm going to let them have their morning. And another turkey wing. Or zigzag. All right, it's broken ever so slightly, but you wouldn't know when you hold it from the top. That's why I like to flip them over to really tell. Love that. Oh, spiny jewel box. These are pretty good size and relatively spiky. Not quite spiny, but yeah. No, they don't fit together. I know it looks like they might have, but they don't. Yeah, pretty good spikes on that one. So yay, some spiny jewel boxes. And yay, it's a gorgeous morning here. And I think it's high time. I'm going to be quiet and allow you to all have some beach time. Okay, another sand dollar. And just doing my part, you know, kind of unburying it for the tourists should I not keep it. Let's see. Let's wash it off and see. So I guess it's okay. I'm okay. I have some serious standards with the sand dollars. Oh, that's a keeper. Yeah. Yep. Very, very cute. 5-hole keyhole sand dollar. And another one. Oh, that one's just kind of sitting there. Oh, that's beautiful. Yep. Gonna keep that too. So even though I've been collecting for years, I still cannot leave great sand dollars, or at least only when I find a couple. I suppose if I've had, oh, that's alive, banded tulip. If I was having one of those days where I get hundreds of sand dollars, I probably can cut myself off at some point. All right, another live critter. Oh, a Tampa turrid. Ah, with a little Hermie in it. So Tampa turrids are kind of fun to find. Not finders keepers. The hermit crab got it first, so the hermit crab gets to keep it. What else might be here? Oh, we now know what those little indentations are. So if you come to the beach and you see something like that, you know that there is a sea star buried under the water there somewhere. What a great morning. Now, this little show off. Now, if you were to look at yoga poses, there is a cow pose, a cat pose, a cobra, camel, dolphin. This one clearly is trying to set the standard for a sea star pose. I guess you'd have to have 9 arms. I don't know that anyone's going to be able to replicate that. But oh, there's another one being mid. It's just being doing its thing. All right. So you can see the tide is kind of coming in. It's not all the way in yet. My tide pools are kind of gone. Limpet. And another spiny jewel box. But I'm a little more interested in that limpet. Oh, that's a good one. Nice shapes, not broken. Nice color. So that is a cayenne keyhole limpet. And yeah, there's a little spiny jewel box there as well. A buttercup lucine. Yep. For a hot second, I thought I might have picked up a distocenia, but we're looking at a lucine of the buttercup variety. So for me, it's a little bit, what's the word, bittersweet when I come to Fort Myers Beach because it used to be just so incredible, and it'll come back. In the future, it'll come back. I mean, I did manage to find a couple of goodies there in addition to all the critters. So we do have some sand dollars. There's a worm snail, some of those dwarf olives, looks like one bubble, 2 lightning whelks, a pear whelks, a Florida cone, a lettered olive. There is a cardita and a piece of a turkey wing. There's 2 turkey wings. Oh, there was some calico scallops, a calico clam, 2 of those shark eyes, a broad rib cardita, 2 coquinas. There's a drill, a Gulf oyster drill, the jingles, the apple murex, spotted slipper snail, the colorful moon snail, the crown conch, buttercup lucine, sunray Venus clam, angel wing, fighting conchs, the limpet, the nutmegs. I didn't really have a favorite per se. I mean, all of them are really quite spectacular, but we're not done. There were those little tiny shells, but I also grabbed a little bit of grit. So there's my micro, or that's not micro, this is my mini collection of seashells. So if I happen to find anything really, really tiny, there's a little turkey wing in there, there's a little top snail in there. So anyway, when I find little tiny examples of shells, I put them in my mini collection. But what I'm going to start now is a micro collection from the grit. Now, this is a 2-step process, at least for me. In order to find the stuff, I put the entire box under a microscope, and I found that kind of like bubble looking thing. That looks like a little tiny Dosenia, and that big black thing pointing in, that's the tip of a pin. So that looks like a little arc. So what I did is I put the entire box under one of these microscopes I have to identify what is like a shell compared to just a broken piece of something. So that's what I did first. And I got pretty excited because look, all right, not that grit thing, but looks like a little moon snail. Now, I'm not really happy with the quality of this microscope per se. Now check out this. I'm going to show you something. So that little tiny thing right there, that like reddish little thing, that when you put it on my fingertip looks like that. So you can see it, but barely. Now when you put it under, now I have a different microscope that clips onto my phone. So I'm able to kind of record this, and I can kind of record also the different depth, because some of these things you can only really focus on one plane at a time. So that's that little moon snail. I don't know what that is. Almost looks like a false West Indian seraph. But this little bubble thing looking here, I think that is this, Candace barrel bubble. So that is a legitimate micro shell. And I do have an ID sheet. I'm not able to kind of tease out what these guys are. That one on the right does look maybe a Wentel trap, maybe. Yeah, I can't tell. And then, yeah, some sort of Dysenia. But as I look at these and as I find this grit, maybe I'll get a little better at IDing these little tiny things. No clue. Yep, no clue. Maybe arc. Yeah, that's some sort of arc. Oh, but just really, really interesting, right? Well, at least I think so. I don't know if you think it's interesting. I do. I think it's fascinating to see this whole new little micro world of shells. So just to give you a size comparison, those are the things we were looking at, and that's a quarter. So yeah, so there's my mini collection, and now I have a micro collection to go with that as well. So it's kind of exciting to be out there. I mean, again, I've been doing this for a little while, and to find a whole new world that I can explore is kind of cool. Plus, in the summer when it gets a little slow, like maybe you can look through some of that grit and find the micro shells. Oh, I just think it's really interesting. Patreons, can I thank you enough? No, I don't think I can, for monetarily supporting me and making these videos possible. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Now, we did have a little bit of a cold snap, and I went over to Sanibel, and it was pretty dang fun. So I will tell you all about that next week. Until then, I hope you have a wonderful week, and I'll see you again next Sunday.